All right, so today we're going to dive into something pretty serious.
Yeah.
The recent attack in New Orleans,
Right.
um, and specifically what we can learn about the devices that were used.
Hmm.
There's an article that just came out yesterday, January 4th, 2025,
Okay.
in the Washington Post called What We Know About the Explosive Devices Used by the New Orleans Attacker.
Right.
And there's some really interesting information in here.
Yeah, I was reading that too.
Yeah, some stuff that's pretty concerning.
Definitely.
One of the things that stood out to me right away
Okay.
was that they're saying these devices were not your typical homemade explosives.
Yeah, that was really striking to me too.
Like this wasn't just some,
Right.
guy in his basement throwing something together.
Exactly. This is a whole other level of sophistication. We're
Okay.
talking about devices that were very carefully planned.
Yeah, and the article even uses terms like advanced circuitry, redundant triggering mechanisms.
Right.
I don't know about you, but I'm not a bomb disposal expert.
So,
Not me either.
What does that even mean?
yeah, so to break it down a little bit, you can think of the circuitry as like the brains of the device.
Okay.
It's what controls how and when the bomb detonates.
Hmm.
And when they say advanced circuitry, that means we're not talking about something that's just cobbled together.
Right.
This is custom designed,
Okay.
very precise electronics.
So you're saying this had to be someone who really knew
Absolutely.
what they were doing.
Yeah, this was a skilled bomb maker.
Okay, and then the redundant triggering mechanisms.
Right, so that means there's more than one way to set the bomb off.
Okay.
It could be a timer, a pressure sensor, even a remote detonator. The idea is to make sure the device explodes even if one trigger fails.
Oh, wow. So they really thought this through.
Exactly. This wasn't left to chance.
And the article also mentioned countermeasures.
Yes.
Can you explain what those are?
Sure. So countermeasures are basically anything that's designed to make it harder to disarm the bomb.
Okay.
One example would be a mercury switch.
Okay.
Which would detonate the bomb if someone tried to move it.
Oh.
Or they could booby-trap the casing itself.
So it sounds like they were really trying to make sure that...
Right. They wanted to ensure that the device would achieve its objective and that it would be very difficult to stop.
Yeah, it's pretty scary.
Yeah, it's a chilling level of detail.
So when you put all this together, what does it tell you about the person who built these devices?
Well, it definitely points to someone with a high level of expertise.
Right.
This isn't someone who just learned how to make bombs by watching YouTube videos.
Right. This is a professional.
Yeah, I'd say so.
So someone with training.
Most likely.
Okay, maybe even military training.
Possibly. Or they could have received specialized training somewhere else. It's also likely that they had access to restricted materials.
Right, like things you wouldn't just be able to buy at the hardware store.
Exactly.
And you think they might have even had help from other people?
It's possible. Yeah. It's not uncommon for bomb makers to work in networks.
Oh.
Okay, so we're not necessarily talking about a lone wolf here.
I mean, it's not impossible, but statistically speaking, it's less likely.
Right, because building something this complex, you'd need more than knowledge you'd need.
Yeah, you'd need experience, specialized tools, probably a whole supply chain.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
The article also talks about the location of the attack. And it seems like that wasn't random either.
No, the target was very deliberately chosen.
Okay, and what do you make of that?
Well, it tells us that the attacker wanted to send a message.
Okay.
It wasn't just about causing destruction. They wanted to hit a place with symbolic significance.
So the location itself was part of the message.
Exactly.
And do you think investigators can learn anything about the attacker's motives from the location?
Potentially, yes.
Okay.
For example, was it chosen to maximize casualties?
Right.
Was it meant to disrupt a specific activity?
Oh.
Or was it a symbolic attack against a particular group?
Yeah, there are a lot of possibilities.
There are.
And it's all very disturbing.
It is.
So to kind of sum up what we've learned,
Okay.
these bombs were not just powerful. They were incredibly sophisticated.
Right.
They were designed to be difficult to disarm and almost guaranteed to detonate.
Yeah, and the choice of target suggests that this attack was about much more than just destruction.
Right.
It was a calculated move with a very specific goal in mind.
A message.
Yes.
And it's hard not to wonder what this means for the future. Like, could this be a sign of things to come?
It's a worrying thought.
It is.
Yeah.
Could we see more attacks using these kinds of sophisticated explosives?
It's definitely possible.
And what does it mean for security if there are people out there with this level of skill and knowledge?
Well, it means we need to be prepared.
Right.
We need to stay vigilant.
Yeah, it's a lot to think about.
It is.
But I think it's important that we do think about it.
I agree.
So I hope this deep dive has been helpful.
Me too.
Obviously this is a developing story, so we'll continue to follow it.
Absolutely.
But for now, I think we'll leave it there.
Sounds good.
And as always, stay informed and stay safe.
Stay safe, everyone.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for having me.